Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I wanted to hop in really quick and talk to you guys about the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, man, I'm telling you, Kendrick Lamar had a great performance. It was an amazing job. The Eagles, shout out to the Eagles, blow the whistle for the Eagles. They did the damn thing. I've always loved Jalen Hurts. I've been a big fan of Jalen because I admire his work ethic. He talks about his dad a lot, and you know how I feel about good black fathers. And Jalen busted his butt. He went through a lot at Alabama, and here he is, a Super Bowl champion. And he came back and actually beat the team that beat him pretty bad last time, or not terribly bad, but beat him in a way that was kind of ugly. And so anyway. That is that I saw the game like everybody else. I was a little bit sick. I had the norovirus, so I was kind of watching the game in between vomiting. It was kind of a nasty thing. You don't want me to tell you about it, but anyway, I wanted to talk about the Super Bowl and not just from what happened on the stage or on the field, but I also want to talk about the economics of the Super Bowl. One thing that you may have noted, may or may not have noticed about the Super Bowl, some of you who are financially conscious have probably noticed this. If you haven't noticed, I'm going to bring this to your attention. Did anybody else notice? Give me a yes or no if you noticed this, that the Super Bowl had black people everywhere. How many of you noticed that the Super Bowl just had black people like on the stage? Kendrick, when he did his performance, there was nothing but black people on the stage. It was beautiful to watch, and he got his little dancers, from South Central and everything, and they were just doing the damn thing. And he was really representing his community. There were black people on the field all over the place. A few black people in the stands, mostly the celebrities and stuff like that. But one thing about the Super Bowl was that they had black people everywhere except for the owner's box. The only place that the Super Bowl does not allow black people is the owner's box. I'm talking about majority owner's box. From what I understand, the Super Bowl does not have one single black majority owner, not one single family that owns a majority of a team, not one single individual, nothing like that. The Super Bowl is pretty much run by the white people's club. And they've pretty much done a really good job of keeping black people out for a very long time. And it's really fascinating. The reason it's fascinating to me, and the reason I wanted to bring it to your attention, is because black people are among the biggest investors in the NFL. You don't think we're the big? We are the biggest investors. Let me explain. The owners of the Chicago Bears or the Kansas City Chiefs, they invest, but all they've ever invested was money. All they invested was money. I want to ask y'all a question. Give me a yes or no. Do you know of any team owner who's ever gotten brain damage from being associated with the NFL? Name one owner, the owner of the Jets or of the Giants or the Cowboys. Jerry Jones has Jerry Jones ever gotten CTE from his ownership of the Dallas Cowboys? No, the answer is no. I want to ask you a question. Has any NFL team owner ever broken limbs as a result of their investment in the NFL? Have they ever lost limbs? What do you think? Yes or no? Has any team owner ever gotten paralyzed from the neck down from their investment in the NFL? I'm gonna give y'all a second to answer that question. I want to give you, I want to give you a second. I want to let y'all answer it. I want y'all to marinate on it. Has it ever happened? Really? So do you agree with me when I say that black people are among the biggest investors in the NFL? Black people, black athletes mostly, and others and their families have endured the greatest investment. Black athletes have gotten the brain damage. Black athletes have gotten the broken limbs. Black athletes have gotten the CTE. Black athletes have gotten the paralysis. Black athletes have worked their entire life, all the way from the time you're six, all the way from the time you're six, and you go into football camp, and they've done nothing but dedicate their whole entire lives to trying to become good enough to get on that field. Every single player on that field pretty much worked his whole entire life to get there. I have nothing but complete admiration for every single player on that field. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to talk about this for a second. I want to talk about this, what it means to be an investor. You guys know I'm a finance PhD. That's what I do. And I analyze wealth. I analyze where wealth comes from. And I, most importantly, as a black man, I've been a black man my whole life now. I'm gonna stick with it. It's been kind of fun. And I want to go through some data to kind of help you understand, just where the NFL comes from. Because a lot of times we think that these entities that are taking all of our money, that are stealing black wealth, are just they just come out of the sky like white man is Jesus or something, and he just makes these companies and we all go work for these companies because unfortunately a lot of our institutions, including HBCUs, are designed to do nothing but produce employees. Your job is as a graduate is to go out and find some nice white man to let you work for him and hope that he gives you an opportunity. But that's not really how economics works. Um, if you were to go and look at the purchase price of the cheapest NFL teams in history, in terms of what they're worth now and their current valuation, you would be absolutely stunned. You would be absolutely stunned if I were to tell you how much these teams cost to actually start. These teams, if you were to go through the list, I remember, I think the Green Bay Packers, y'all ready for this? The Green Bay Packers, their the current value of the Green Bay Packers is $4.25 billion dollars. Guess how much the Packers cost when they were established in 1921? $50. $50. Anybody got $50 that you can invest on the Green Bay Packers? What do you say? The people who founded the Green Bay Packers, the visionaries who probably didn't go to college just so they can go work for somebody, they actually started a business of their own. They actually made investments into something they could pass down to their children. They bought the Green Bay Packers for $50. The Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys in 1989 for 140 million. That team's worth about $10 billion. The you had teams. Let's see, what was it? Um, let's see. I know that there was another. I want to say it was the New York Giants. Let me see. I'm going to look for the original purchase price of these teams because the number I just got is not the original purchase price. It's the sales price. But I want to say that there were other teams that like the Chicago Bears that were bought for less than $500. So a lot of these teams, the here we go. In 1925, Tim Mara bought the New York Giants for $500. The Giants are now worth 6 billion. The Chicago Bears were purchased by the Hallis family. I believe the Hallis family still owns it. Do they still own it? I believe they still own it. They paid $100 for that team. $100. That team is now worth $6.3 billion. 6.3 billion. So here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. You've got two types of investors in the NFL. Pretty much the white ones and the black ones mostly, but you could really say rich white people and everybody else, however you want to look at it. The white investors in the NFL that sit in the owner's box, they invested a little bit of capital and they invested time. They invested commitment to their own vision. They invested commitment to their own business. They invested commitment into growing an entity that they started themselves as a family 2 or 3 generations ago. Then you got the black investors who commit their entire lives to playing the same sport every single day until from the time they're 6 until they're 21, 22, 23, 24 years old and end up getting lots of brain damage along the way and probably don't make any money at all. Your investment kind of becomes like this lottery ticket because it's very interesting how if I go into a classroom full of a bunch of little black boys who are decently talented, it's amazing how half of them will think that they're all going to the NFL when we know that pretty much all of them are not. Not one single boy in that class is going to make it to the NFL, but every single one of them is prepared to invest his entire life into the NFL. Now, if you think that I'm making this racial, it's because I am. I'm making this racial because it is racial. That whole performance by Kendrick Lamar was very racial. He had nothing but black people on the stage. So let's just talk about the elephant in the room. When I think about the Super Bowl and I think about why people watch the Super Bowl, why are they watching the Super Bowl? Well, they're watching to see the stars of the game. Well, who are the stars of the game? Who are the people that they're coming to see? Well, Patrick Mahomes, they're coming to see him. Saquon Barkley, they're coming to see him. Great, one of the greatest running backs in the NFL history, probably greatest in the league right now. Jalen Hurts is a bad boy. They're coming to see him. They're coming to see Chris Jones on the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a bad boy. Pacheco. You got a lot of great players on both sides, most of whom were black. Now, there was the little white boy who got the interception with the Eagles. I was very impressed by that, but he was a rookie. He's 22, he's new, and nobody expected him to play that great, but he's good. He's good. He deserves credit too. So this is not 100% black, but it's majority black. So I propose this back to you. I throw this right back at you. The Super Bowl was full of black people everywhere except the owner's box. When they need somebody to entertain, they call black people. They need somebody to play the sport, they call black people. They need somebody to crip walk on the stage, they call black people. When they need somebody that's going to bring the cultural relevance to the Super Bowl, they call the black people. But when it's time to count the money, they say, okay, you Negroes can leave the room now. The adults are taking over now, so y'all can scoot along now. You can go. All right. So here is and if you don't believe that they're counting money, Let me tell you exactly how much money they're counting so you'll just kind of know what's going on. Now, mind you, I want to be clear. The NFL does have some initiatives to allow black people to have minority stakes in the teams. Like I think Ward Dunn invested about $9 million in a very tiny stake in the Atlanta Falcons. The stakes are so small that they rarely even tell you what the percentages are. I tried to find out the percentage of ownership. They wouldn't tell you. They'll tell you who the majority owners are, and they'll have some minority ownership group. So it's not to say that there are no black owners at all. There are some minority owners. So the goal is to keep you minor, to keep you as a minority, not to have majority. When we become majority, then they become scared. I guess I have no idea. But here's some information that can kind of help you to understand just exactly how much money they are counting. Okay. So first off, let's talk about the commercials. If you were to look at the cost of a Super Bowl commercial this year, the average 30-second Super Bowl slot sold for between $7 and $8 million. So they had 102 slots to sell, which means they made $816 million, almost $1 billion from selling the ads. That's one revenue stream. That's just one of many, probably dozens of revenue streams. Two, they sold 30-second slots during the pregame show for $2 million. And for this particular Super Bowl, those slots went up as high as $4.5 million. So they were selling pregame commercial spots. The Superdome has a capacity of 73,208 people. The average ticket sales price was $11,000 in 2024. So they made almost $1 billion just from the ticket sales. Also, you can keep going. Total consumer spending related to the Super Bowl in previous years amounted to 17 billion, including merchandise, food, and beverages. That's all the spending, all the money being made by the advertisers at the Super Bowl. And let's not forget the 1.4 billion that Americans were projected to wager in the whole sports betting arena. That they're, by the way, which they're marketing heavily to black men. Has anybody noticed that? How the sports betting sites are using black men in the ads to get you to become addicted to something that is literally the worst addiction that you can have if you ever want to have any money and you don't want to go broke and destroy your family in the process. If you ever want to be a degenerate that nobody respects and have your life fall apart, go get you a DraftKings account and become an addict. If you do that, then your family will hate you, your daughter won't respect you, you're going to lose all the family's money, and you're going to be embarrassed, and it's going to be painful. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just warning you right now that those addictions are rising. Every therapist I know says those addictions are rising. Remember, in the Black Business School, we have a Black Financial Therapy Department, and they're ringing the alarm bells right now, saying that the fact that they're promoting all these sports betting apps to black men is going to be hugely detrimental to many black families. Hugely detrimental. So when you see Jamie Foxx on the commercial, Kevin Hart on the commercial, Shaquille O'Neal, I believe he did a commercial, and a lot of these other people, that is no good. That is them simply duping you into doing something very bad with your money, very unstrategic, not very sound. It's going to put you in a bad spot. But then again, who am I? If you don't like what I said, then please just ignore me. Just ignore me. I don't matter. All right. So anyway, with that being said, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. This podcast is on Spotify. If you go to Spotify, look up Boyce Watkins. You can find the Dr. Boyce breakdown on Spotify. Also, tomorrow night we're doing a meeting in the Black Crypto Club. If you like crypto and you want to learn how to invest in crypto properly, there's a lot of opportunities there. We're bringing in another crypto expert tomorrow night. If you'd like to be a part of that group and talk about crypto and join the club, just go to b1crypto.com. The number one crypto.com. B1 stands for Black First. Black First means we put ourselves first, we put our kids first, we put our community first. So if you are Black First in B1, go to b1crypto.com and you can do a free trial in the crypto club if that's of interest to you. Now, with that said, let's go back to our original premise. So the Super Bowl had black influence everywhere. There were black people all over the stage. Kendrick Lamar was tearing it up. It was a great performance. It was great to watch. The athletes were killing it on the field, just doing a great job. And so you had this what appears to be diversity on the field. You had what appears to be diversity when it comes to entertainment. They let Jay-Z kind of pick the performers, and he picks a lot of rappers, which is fine. And Kendrick was the guy he picked. I have nothing against Kendrick. I will say though, I kind of feel like I wish Kendrick had not really beaten up on Drake even further at the Super Bowl. I kind of feel like Kanye does. I told you I don't get along with Kanye very well. The conversation he and I had didn't end very well, but I can say that I agree with Kanye on one point. Kanye mentioned a point that a lot of you are going to forget because everybody likes drama. Everybody likes to see black men taking each other out. I believe that what Kanye said that what they'll do, he said exactly what I said this before, and I'm saying it again. He said that what they'll do is the labels, the puppet masters, will use one rapper to destroy another rapper, and then they'll destroy both of you. They'll get rid of both of you. And I think that, and this is not just a Kendrick Lamar Drake situation. This is a white supremacy situation. White supremacy does that. They did that with the Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda. They do that with black Democrats and black Republicans in the United States. They do that in other countries all around the world. So they're quick to pit you against each other because they love to see you destroy each other. And then when you destroy each other, you're serving the master, and then the master cuts your head off and kills you. That's what the CIA has always done when they go to other countries. When they help the Afghans fight off the Soviets, the first thing the Afghan leader said when he met with the head of the CIA is he said, "You're here to kill me, aren't you?" And the guy said, "I'm not going to kill you today." Right. And basically, what that means is that once they're done with you, go listen to E40. E40 had a song where the chorus was, "They'll find a new Igga next year." He said, "They'll find a new Igga next year. They'll find somebody else to replace you." So I think Kendrick, I really wish I could understand why he hates Drake so much. Because what concerns me is if he is he is a certified blah, 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 and got the whole world singing that. Well, if he is really doing something like that, if he really is certified, then I'd like to see the certification. If he really did this, I'd like to see the evidence because accusing another man of something that terrible is really, really heavy. Like, remember, pay attention. Let me know if you're following what I'm saying here. Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Diddy, and Drake are kind of all accused of the same thing. They're all accused of something that apparently white men never do, which we know is BS. We know white men do it all the time. They don't become public enemy number one, but they're all being accused of kind of the same thing. Sleeping with underage people, girls, boys, whatever. And R. Kelly's in prison for it. Bill Cosby lost everything. Puffy's in prison for it. So when you're accusing a man of something that could get him sent to prison, I think that is where I want to ask you, why do you hate this guy so much? And is it true? If it's really true, then I guess it's if it's true and it's proven, then that's one thing. But if you're just doing it for entertainment, because you got a crowd full of white people cheering you on, as you call black people the N word and destroy another man, another black man, I can't get on board with that. And in fact, actually, I will say this too, black people, you can never get offended when white people call you niggas because your favorite rappers call you niggas all the time. So if I'm white, I'm confused. Like you call yourselves niggas, so why would we stop doing it? And that's just my 2 cents. I kind of think so that's my critique. I wouldn't say I hated the performance. I like Kendrick. I really do. I like him more than I dislike him 100%. I don't even like Drake's music that much. I don't know if anybody else agrees, but I thought his music was kind of puffy and goofy and stupid. But I have to be honest. I have to be honest, and I have to say that what would have really been powerful, the most powerful revolutionary thing he could have done, in my opinion, is to bring Drake on the stage, right? And to just say, like, we're not doing that song, but here's what we are gonna do, right? And then do one of Drake's best songs or something, right? I again, maybe I'm just being too idealistic here. Maybe the idea of black men reconciling in public is just so dramatic and so crazy. People aren't used to it. But I personally would have loved to have seen him bring Drake on the stage and join forces with him. They say the best way to defeat an enemy is to defeat an enemy, and that's not true. The best way to defeat an enemy is to make that enemy into a friend, right? And here's the deal. Here's and remember, I'm not a kid. I'm not 35. I'm not 25. I'm 53. I remember Biggie and Pac. I remember just like Drake and Drake and Kendrick, Biggie and Pac used to be friends. If y'all were never friends, how come there's all these pictures of y'all together, like posing with each other? Seriously, Biggie and Pac were friends. Drake and Kendrick were cool at one point. Something went wrong. There was a misunderstanding. There was a beef. Somebody got mad. Somebody's feelings got hurt. So my point is to say that this is what happens in so many black families. This is what happens with so many black friendships. This is why so many black businesses fail. Y'all don't know this, but trillions of dollars gets lost in the black community because people can't put their egos to the side, apologize, and repair relationships. We want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, destroy everything, and the hatred and the venom and the trauma get so deep that we just go in for the kill. And I'm not saying that there aren't times where you might go in for the kill. Sure, if when it comes to white supremacy, I'm going in for the kill. When it comes to racism, I'm going in for the kill. When it comes to defending my family, I'm going in for the kill. When it comes to elevate my people, I'm going in for the kill. But when it comes to me dealing with a black man, you can't name a single black man that I've ever had a beef with. And I can I'll give you my own stories. Umar Johnson, Roland Martin. Martin, just people like that. You can't Mark Lamar Hill. You can't name a single black man I've ever had a beef with where I would go in for the kill for that man. You cannot name a single black man, Kwame Brown, that I've had a little bit of a beef with. Where if we sat down like men and said, okay, let me just you tell me what I did to you, I'm gonna tell you what you did to me, and we're gonna repair because I respect you enough to fight with you, and if I respect you enough to fight with you, then I respect you enough to become allies with you, which means that if we join forces, not only am I taking the weight off my shoulders of having to fight you, but I also have a powerful ally that I can go to battle with on our common interests. I literally could do that with every single person I've ever beefed with. So again, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I'm not dissing Kendrick Lamar. I know a lot of people want to see it that way when you don't agree with their favorite celebrity, but the reality is that I have to say that I think that that Drake thing, humiliating that man on the biggest stage in the world, was just that kind of went beyond what I would like to have seen. I think that black men reconciling is, in fact, Corey Holcomb, the comedian, he and I had a little weird thing going. I don't really beef with people like that, but apparently he was beefing with me. So I got on the phone with Willie D. Me and Corey and Willie got on a three-way, and then we got online and we resolved it in front of everyone because as 50-something-year-old men, we wanted to show like you really can come back from that. You don't have to fight somebody for life. You don't have to fight to the death. And forgive me for over talking that, but I hope that you're getting my point that I really, really would have loved to have seen these guys find some way to understand who the true enemy is. The true enemy, honestly, Kendrick, it's not Drake. Drake ain't really your enemy. Your enemy is these fucking record labels that are jacking all of y'all. The enemy is all these white audiences that love to see you stand on stage calling each other niggas and killing each other. The enemy is all these people that have built a whole industry around toxic music, not your music, Kendrick, not Kendrick, but I'm talking about toxic music that's really ruined the culture, that's ruined the black community, that's destroyed us. They created the sexy reds and all the violence and all this other stuff, and it's leading to people dying. A rapper dies every other week, and personally, this is I don't know about anybody else cares about this, but this makes me sick. I mean, let's keep it 100. The biggest thing you have to brag about is your rappers. When they talk about culture, they're always talking about the culture. They're always talking about your rappers. Well, I want to ask y'all this. Let me ask y'all this. Seriously, I'm a wealth guy. I'm a wealth guy. Answer this for me. In the 50 years of hip hop, we've had how many years of hip hop? 50 years, right? In 50 years of hip hop, have you seen one black-owned hospital come out of 50 years of hip hop? In 50 years of hip hop, have you seen one black-owned school system? In 50 years of hip hop, have you seen black wealth go up or has it gone down? In 50 years of hip hop, what have we created? What I mean, really, I need to have we had one automobile manufacturer in 50 years of hip hop? In 50 years of hip hop, with rappers partnering with professional athletes and being shiny on stage and bragging about how great you are, how many professional sports leagues have you started? Again, it's not hard to do. The Chicago Bears were purchased for what, $100. The New York Giants were $500. How many black-owned professional sports leagues do we have? I mean, we play all the damn basketball. How come we don't have a black professional basketball league that's making money? How come y'all don't get together with all y'all 100 million? You got between all of these black celebrities, they have 1 billion followers on social media. If you wanted to create a league and create your own distribution for your content and do your own ad deals, you could easily make 100 million a year with an entity like that right off the bat. You could adopt the HBCUs and promote them on your channels and get the viewership and then go to the advertisers and sell the ads and make 50 to 100 million or more. You're not going to make as much as the NFL makes because they're good at making money, but you will be making enough money to be free. So I'm gonna just tell you like this. One of the things that I just have to speak up on a little bit is I think that what happens is we get very frustrated about what we perceive to be racism. We feel shut out. We look at where other people are doing amazing things and and we don't get our opportunities. Like right now, Trump got rid of DEI and now we're all freaking out because we don't have the equity and inclusion that we had, 2 years ago. And I get that. I totally get that. But one of the things that you're seeing when you see us getting frustrated because they won't invite us to their table, what you're seeing is a frustration with integration. You're seeing a frustration with what was actually a failed policy to begin with. You're seeing us trying to solve the impossible problem. The impossible problem is that the only way I can get ahead in this world is if a white man decides to give me an opportunity. The only way I can get an NFL contract is if Jerry Jones signs the deal. The only way I can get a chance to own an asset, own a team, is if they let me own 2% of their NFL team, right? That's the only way I can get in. And that is a flawed policy, not because it can't work. Maybe white people one day will stop acting white, and maybe one day they'll become very generous, and maybe one day they'll just decide to start sharing wealth with black people. They haven't done it for 500 years, but maybe you'll get lucky. Or maybe you can go build your own. Maybe you can say, to hell with all this. We're going to go build our own. Maybe we're going to get together and take the energy behind this movement and say, okay, next time, let's go ahead and create a professional sports league with our own teams, our own franchises, so that we can actually harness some of this economic energy that we're giving to others. Because what you got to understand is this, and I'll go back to this original premise. Black people are among the biggest investors in the NFL. Just like when you go to that job every day, you are investing in that company. When you pay the rent to the landlord, you are investing in that landowner's property. When you buy consumer products, you are an investor in those products. The only difference is that you're the investor who doesn't get a return on his or her investment. That's the problem. That's the dilemma. But you're an investor. You're just not getting an ROI. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let me know if you know everybody knows what ROI is, right? ROI is where my money's a boomerang, where I throw it and then the money comes back with friends, right? I throw in 1,000, I make 2,000. I throw in 10,000, I make 20,000. I throw in 100,000, I make 150,000. That's where what money's supposed to be. That's investing. It's a boomerang. Some of y'all's money's like a frisbee. You got you out there. I'm gonna throw the frisbee, y'all, and you throw the frisbee, and you wait for the frisbee to come back, and the frisbee doesn't come back because they catch that mug and they run with it, right? So you out here throwing frisbee when you're supposed to be throwing boomerangs. When you go to the mall and spend money so you can look fly and they get to keep your money, you just threw a frisbee. When you getting up and going to work every day, working harder than the damn boss to build a company owned by the boss, owned by his family that he's gonna pass to his children, and your children ain't got nothing, you just threw a frisbee. When you go and you bust your butt, you give birth to a baby, and he spends his entire life training to get to the NFL, and then he suddenly gets out there and he plays a couple years and gets some brain damage. You just made an investment in the NFL, but you didn't get an ROI. So basically, you just threw a frisbee. You threw a frisbee because the team's valuations only go up if they've got players. If they don't have players, then they can't exist. And those players are majority black, the good ones anyway. The big brands are what draws people to the game. So the Patrick Mahomeses, the Jalen Hurtses, the Chris Joneses, those are the guys that draw the Saquon Barkleys. That's what draws people to the game. So we have the biggest brands in the sport, but yet we don't own a league at all. And I know Ice Cube owns the Big Three. I know Ice Cube, and I like what he's doing with the Big Three. I think that's an excellent start. Ice Cube and we talked many hours, and he and I think alike. That's why I like talking to the guy. And Kanye made sense for about 30% of our conversation. The other 60, 70%, he started to get on my nerves. But Cube was cool. I enjoyed talking to Ice Cube, but there's a little bit of a conflict, right? Because I'm not 100% on board with everything that's happened in hip hop. I'm not 100% on board with the effects that the music has had on our people. I'm not 100% on board with us entertaining white folks in this way. And I think that we can entertain the world without humiliating ourselves in the process. So I think, unfortunately, we have to accept the idea that some parts of hip hop has done more damage to the status of the black male in America than actually benefited us. And it's actually put us behind black women. Like, I think sports and hip hop is a big distraction for black men. So rather than black men working hard to become plumbers, carpenters, accountants, and lawyers, you have a lot of black men who spend their time working hard to become rappers, basketball players, and football players. And then when that does not work out, then he doesn't have anything else to fall back on, right? So again, I'll let you kind of work that puzzle out because I don't want to be judgmental, but I am trying to say that ultimately, if I had my pick, I would look toward a guy like Dr. Myron Rolle, who's another friend of mine. Dr. Myron Rolle became a great NFL player, but he also became a surgeon at Harvard because Dr. Rolle is incredibly smart. And so, long story short, if you want to look at the price we paid, the investment we made to make the NFL into the $100 billion behemoth that it is, we've made the biggest investment. We've literally sacrificed our children. We sacrificed our brains. We sacrificed our bodies. We sacrificed a lot of time and energy. All the mothers and fathers dragging their son to football practice every single day. That's your investment in the league. And the question is, and the big question you got to ask yourself is, what is your return on investment? That because remember all those other things, there's something in economics called a shadow cost. A shadow cost. A shadow cost is kind of like an opportunity cost. Let's think of it in another way. If I spend all my time trying to get to the NFL, that means that I could have spent that time doing something else. Right. So I want you to imagine, let's do the math real quick. So imagine if you're a kid and you're dreaming about getting to the NFL because they advertised it to you when you were a kid. It becomes like the Hunger Games or the Squid Games even, right? You think you're going to be the winner, but and you go in there with the other 10,000 black boys thinking you're going to be the one who gets to be the next Saquon Barkley. So because we tell everybody to keep dreaming and everything else, and you don't know much about probability yet, and you don't want to hear some old guy like me come in and tell you that it's going to be hard to do. So you don't listen to people. I mean, who listens to black professors anyway? We're just a bunch of goofball nerds apparently. So you go in and you are going to football practice every day. You're thinking about football. You're carrying the football with you. You got your Saquon Barkley jersey, and you're watching every game and all this other stuff, right? You're going to practice. You practice 5 days a week, maybe 2 hours a day. So you're doing 10 hours a week of practice. You do 10 hours a week of training and practice. You do that over a 52 week year. Let's say over 50 weeks. That's what's that? 10 hours a week, 50 weeks, 500 hours a year. So in a decade, you spent 5,000 hours training to be a great athlete. So 5,000 hours. So over maybe the course of like between the ages of 6 and 18, maybe by then you maybe have spent a total of maybe 15,000 hours because you got to also count in the time that you spend preparing for games, preparing for practice, going back and forth to practice, traveling for team games and all this other stuff, right? So you've invested maybe 10 to 15, maybe 20,000 hours to becoming the best athlete you can be. Well, the cost of that goal isn't just the time that you spent. It's not like you weren't going to do anything else at that time. That same amount of time, that same 10 or 15,000 hours, if that time was spent trying to become an excellent plumber, you'd be able to make a couple $100,000 a year as a plumber. Believe me, I know. Anybody go ever try to hire a plumber and see how expensive they freaking are? It's insane. It's crazy, right? Or that 15,000 hours that you spent practicing football could have been spent on you becoming a medical doctor, right? And so being a medical doctor, maybe you'd make a couple hundred grand a year doing that. Or that 20,000 hours that you spent could have been spent with you becoming the best carpenter that you could be. Carpenters charge lots of money, right? Redoing people's basements and all that. So you gave up millions of dollars, at least hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in addition to the time that you invested. Do you understand? Do you see what that means? So you got the regular cost, the cost you see and the cost you don't see. You've got the regular cost and then you got the shadow cost. You've got the cost that you paid for the time that you spent and then you've got all the things you could have been doing other than that. So a lot of our black boys are paying a tremendous shadow cost at the basically at the request of the NFL. They are basically marketing these superstars to your kid, to your sons. Your sons want to, they don't want to be the regular guy down the street because there's nothing glamorous or cool about that. They want to be Saquon Barkley. They want to be the rapper 50 Cent or whatever. And they end up buying the lottery ticket that almost never ever cashes in for anybody. But you don't know that it doesn't cash in because they always market the one guy who won. This is the movie The Hunger Games. If you ever watch The Hunger Games, go watch The Hunger Games, and that's the game you play. What they do is they will market the winner to everyone so they can control the masses. So they're controlling you based on hope. That's why when Barack Obama ran for president, his whole campaign was based on what? Hope. Hope. Right? It's not your life ain't gonna get better. Don't ever think it's gonna get better. But all we need you to do, we don't need to improve your life. We just need you to believe that there's hope that your life will get better because hope will carry you a long way. Hope and faith are something that the black community is built upon. We go to church every Sunday where the pastor tells you to keep hope alive and have faith. Am I lying? No, all you live off. Some of y'all eat hope for dinner, hope for breakfast, right? And that's what it does. And hope is a good thing. Hope is a wonderful thing. Hope is a beautiful thing when it's appropriately applied. But hope is also something that can be easily manipulated. It is something someone can use to string you along like a pimp. They can play you like a hoe. Hope starts with the letters HO.
So some of us get used like hoes because they're dangling hope over our head. So they're like, "Come over here, hoe. Here's some hope, hoe." And next thing you know, we're like, "Okay, okay, I do that. Okay, you want me to do this? Right?" And we're doing everything that we're told to do. We're following the path. We're following the pattern. We're following the system. We're signing up for things and putting our energy into stuff because we have this hope that something amazing is going to happen. And then what happens is eventually reality hits, and you find out you're not going to the NFL or the NBA because you're 5'8". You're super fast. You're the fastest kid in your city, but nobody cares about the 5'8" kid who was the city champion in Wichita, Kansas. No, nobody cares about that, right? And you realize that maybe being the next Saquon Barkley was a lot harder than you thought, but nobody explains that. And when someone does try to explain it, they get attacked. So this what this does is it creates a horrible imbalance in the black ecosystem. You got the black males distracted by sports and entertainment. The black girls, they're not distracted by that. Black girls don't grow up thinking I'm gonna be in the NBA or the NFL. They're not thinking I'm gonna be the next big rapper. They don't say, "Well, I'm not gonna study today because I'm gonna be the next 50 Cent, dog." They don't do that. They don't say, "Yeah, I'm gonna be dunking on fools, so I don't gotta go to class." Like they're not doing that. The black girls are studying. They're in the books, like their mamas tell them. They don't be paying attention, no boys. Get on there and focus on your books, right? So when she's 28, 29 years old, she's looking for a husband who's on the same level as her, and she can't find one. All she finds is like these poor guys that spent all the years trying to become athletes and then didn't have a plan B. Right? And then the men complain about the women. Oh, you think you're better than me because you're educated. And she's like, I'm mad because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And it just becomes this mess. So I'm not a big fan I like sports, I like the music and all that. But when I look at the whole ecosystem and I look at the price we pay, I go back to the original premise. Black people are the biggest investors in professional sports. The only difference is that we're the investors who don't get a return on investment. And if you go back to that Super Bowl, a lot of y'all thought it was the blackest Super Bowl ever. No, it wasn't. It was no black Super Bowl. That was black labor. That's what you saw. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote a whole book about it. I got the book around here. Everybody needs to read this book. It's called Black Labor, White Wealth. Has anybody heard of that book? Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. Give me a yes if you've heard of this book. Black Labor, White Wealth. That ain't nothing but America, man. That's the country you live in. Every every America's always been like that. You go to any plantation, including the NFL, and you see a bunch of slaves working hard, busting each other's heads open, dancing, doing all these dances and stuff. And white people are in the owner's box sipping on like some Kentucky bourbon with their little hats on, saying, "Oh, this is so delightful. The Negroes are so pleasant today. Oh my goodness, look at Kendrick. Oh, look at that Saquon. That boy can jump. He's so fast. Oh my God, he's so talented." That's what they do. Charleston, give me another drink, please, sir. That's what they do. They sit back in the owner's box watching your black ass hustling for something that isn't going to leave any kind of generational wealth or legacy for your family. Nothing. You get to say, I danced with Kendrick on the stage at the Super Bowl. That ain't going to put no money in your grandkids' trust fund. It's not. It's a reality. It's not. A lot of the NFL players, unfortunately, some of those guys who haven't gotten education on wealth building, they're going to have a big problem in a couple of years, and that's when their income drops. Cam Newton's talked about this. I appreciate him bringing this up. Where when your income drops off, and you have been making money up here, and suddenly you got child support and all kinds of other stuff to pay, and your expenses are here, and your income drops to nothing, you got to figure out what else to do. I think that's why a lot of these guys are doing podcasts and everything else because they're looking for a hustle. They're trying to find something that's going to supplement their income because they're not going to make that kind of money. So the worst feeling in the world is to become addicted to a financial lifestyle that you can't afford to maintain. And the NFL does not stand for National Football League. It stands for not for long. Not for long, because the average NFL career is 2.3 years, I think, maybe 3 years. That's it. So anyway, I'm not here to hate the performance, anything like that. I don't hate it. I just think that it's something that requires clarity, so we understand where the real money's at. And before I do that, before I move on, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And not only do I talk about the economics part, I'm a finance professor, but I also put my money where my mouth is. So every morning I teach economics to anybody who wants to listen. Every morning at 10 a.m. It's a free class. It's a millionaire training camp. It's called Money in the Morning. I know pretty much all the financial techniques and just everything. I understand money pretty well. That's what my doctorate's in. I taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, etc. And if you want to join for free, all you got to do is pull out your phone and text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. Text morning to 87948 because that's money in the morning. That's what we call it. And I do this every single day. And or you can go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. And also, we're going to take a trip to Ghana this summer. So those of you that hang out with us and want to go with us to Ghana, feel free to text the word travel to the phone number 87948. And once you text travel to 87948, I'll send you a link to invite you to Ghana. All right. So with that being said, let's talk about why I personally don't consider this to be the blackest Super Bowl ever. I think it's all it goes back to allowing black people to have symbolism. I think that if black people were to ever really fight for the money, they would have a fight on their hands. I think if they were really to go in there, and I'm not just talking about the black elites, I'm not talking about just Jay-Z and these other rich people. I'm talking about some sort of infrastructure, something that creates black wealth and tens of thousands of black jobs on a consistent basis. I'm talking about industry, right? Like so, for example, if I go to Texas right now, if I go to Austin, Texas, a lot of y'all hate Elon Musk, but let me tell you what Elon Musk did in Austin. I was in my Uber riding back to the airport, and the driver, I saw rows and rows of houses, thousands and thousands of houses, dozens of rows. And I said, "What is all that over there?" He said, "Oh, that's where Elon Musk houses all of his employees for Tesla, and I think SpaceX might be in the same city too." And I remember like the Tesla, just the housing was just massive. And so industry is where you don't just have a couple of bright shiny people held up on a platform like the way they put Jay-Z on that billboard when they bought the Brooklyn Nets and they wanted to get past the black community. That's symbolism. Symbolism does not transfer. You want something that involves industry, something that involves something massive. I heard the NBA player, I forgot his name, but I think he was the MVP. I love this guy. He's super smart. He's very talented. He's a great player. I can't remember his name though. Is it Jalen? Is it Jalen something? I like him. I like him a lot. So if you know him, I know someone that knows him. I told him, tell him I approve of what he's doing. He talked about wanting to use his money to build a Black Wall Street. And what he really needs to do, in my opinion, is I think you need to have a board. You need to have a board, somehow help that board raise $100 million and get super smart people who are not self-interested, who are not in there trying to get themselves rich, who can come in there and really lay out a plan. Jalen Brown, thank you, EJ. Lay out a plan where you can really go into a community. Maybe you start in Boston, since that's the city, and literally create tens of thousands of jobs. I don't think you can name a single rapper who can say I'm responsible for creating 50,000 jobs. 50,000 jobs isn't even that many jobs. That's tiny. That's small on the ecosystem. Elon Musk has probably created almost 1 million jobs. Jeff Bezos has created 1 million jobs. So where are the black Elons and the black Bezoses? I think that if I'm Jay-Z and you really want to make a contribution, then create the black Jeff Bezos. Create the guy who can go create 200,000 jobs, 100,000 jobs, or whatever, or the women, or whatever, or the board, or the team, and really do that in a way that really punches to the gut in terms of shifting the economic infrastructure of the black community. It also starts with education. I will just tell you, the public schools ruin black kids. The fact that there are 40 or 50 schools in the city of Chicago that have mostly black kids, where not one a single one of those, not one kid can read or do math at grade level, should alarm and appall you. There's nothing to celebrate about having the blackest Super Bowl ever when your babies are going to public school and they can't read. What are you celebrating? Do you enjoy being ignorant? Do you enjoy being in last place? Do you enjoy losing? Like what is it? What's happening right now? The only thing I can imagine is that maybe you're so doped up on the symbolism that you're not seeing the reality. So I personally will tell you, if I'm sitting down with Jalen, first thing I say is, okay, how do we find some space where we can have some decent number of young people, let's say 20,000, and we're educating 20,000 kids. And we're educating them not on the BS that they're learning in public school. Some of that matters, not all of it. Reading, writing, math, all that, yes. But we're also making sure black kids have the essential skills required to be successful from an economic standpoint and otherwise. maybe health, wealth, and relationships. So we're going to make sure these kids are entrepreneurs. We're going to make sure they know how to invest. We're going to make sure they know how to have healthy relationships with each other so they can resolve conflicts and see opportunities when they emerge. Like the Kendrick Drake beef. I told you, inappropriate. It was cool. It was cool when it was a rap beef, but when you get to calling somebody a pedophile and destroying his whole career and getting people shot, that's when you go into that Biggie Pac territory. I have never felt good since Biggie and Pac got killed because both of those individuals were $2 billion assets in the black community that got destroyed at the same damn time. The only people that won were the magazines and the record labels. That's it. So no, you teach them like if you know how to form healthy relationships, then you know how to repair them, and you can get on the phone with your brother and say, "Hey man, look, I want to fix this. You know, can we talk about this? Whatever." Or you get a mediator, you get a Farrakhan to bring them together so they can talk it out and figure out a way they can join forces as opposed to attacking each other. I did not enjoy seeing Kendrick on that stage, finishing destroying Drake and having the whole world dance on his grave. I just didn't that didn't sit well with me. I don't even like Drake's music, but that energy is not good energy if you ask me. Um, what else? You're teaching the kids how to even start a family, how to manage a family, how to get the therapy so you can deal with the trauma, and so we're not destroying our families, right? So you're going into all the things that black people need to prosper and be successful instead of ignoring these things. We ignore the essential skills black people need to survive, and then we wonder why they're not surviving. We ignore the essential skills that a black person needs to do well in America when they're in their 30s, but yet then we wonder why they're struggling so much. See, you don't understand. See, the reason Jalen Hurts was able to win that Super Bowl was because he practiced. The reason the Eagles dominated the Chiefs is because they were prepared. The Eagles won that game because they came ready to play. But unfortunately, in our community, preparation is not popular. It's not. The hard work required, the critical thinking skill required to design a game plan and to really prepare. That's just not popular. That's not cool. People like me are not cool. I'm not one of the cool kids. I'm not. So when you say, "Boys, you ain't really into culture and all that," I agree with you. I'm not. I'm an outcast for the most part because I believe deeply in preparation. I believe deeply in strategy. I believe deeply in solving the problem, not just crying about the problem. And so what effectively we have to learn is if we're going to conquer this white supremacy thing, if we're going to conquer this economic inequality thing, if we're going to conquer this whole back of the bus issue that black people have had for 400 years, you're going to have to think different. And what's going to really have to occur is that your leaders are going to have to make some different decisions. I don't care about $1 million Negroes dancing on stage. I don't care about $1 million Negroes sitting next to white folks up in the stands. I don't care about, I like Samuel L. Jackson, but him, appearing as Uncle Sam, that does nothing for me and my family or my kids. That's entertaining because I think he's a great actor. What I want to see are the people that can actually develop the infrastructure that can see the bigger vision. If your success as a black person does not transfer to at least 100 or 200 or 300 or 1,000 other people, then your success doesn't matter that much because it's going to be what we would refer to in economics as a perishable commodity. If your success does not translate, then your success will die when you die. Let me explain it again. If you're not building someone else up based on what you built yourself, then when you're gone, everything you work for will be gone. Do you understand? If you're not multiplying what you've done by saying, I'm going to invest over here, invest over here, invest over here, invest over here, develop systems over here, whatever, then you might as well not do all the work because when you're gone, it's going to be over. Game over. That's one of the big issues you have with black leadership because in youth, black boys and black girls are not taught how to develop infrastructure. They're not taught how to develop systems. In many cases, some of our kids are even taught how to develop egos because they watch their favorite celebrities with big egos try to outdo everybody. You watch Kendrick destroy Drake and you say, I don't want to collaborate with other men. I want to dominate other men. I want to be the boss. I want to be the king. I want to be like Rick Ross. Boss, boss, boss. I'm Big Meech, boss. And then next thing you know, you destroy all your potential allies and you ain't got nobody. Well, then you're easy to take out. See, I believe if these labels wanted to destroy Kendrick, they could do it with the snap of a finger. All they got to do is go to all the media outlets that they collaborate with and plan a story about him that makes him look terrible. Next thing you know, he's public enemy number one, and then y'all hate him too. Just ask Diddy, just ask Cosby, just ask R. Kelly, just ask any of those guys.
Just ask Drake. I think that what happened with Drake was orchestrated. I don't think it just happened by coincidence. I think that they used their systems to get extra spins of the song. If you go read the lawsuit, Drake talks about this, and I agree with that. They got extra spins on Spotify, and they pretty much hypnotized the whole world to this song. And they literally got people chanting these allegations against this man. Where I don't know if anybody else, I haven't seen any concrete evidence that this man is really a pedophile. I just haven't. I'm not saying that he can't be. I don't know. Again, I feel weird because I don't even like Drake's music that much. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I have not seen any evidence of that. But yet you were on the damn Super Bowl stage singing this. This don't happen by accident. Think about now. Process this. In this, think about this though, right? Like a person like me would not be on a Super Bowl stage. I'll never be on a Super Bowl stage because black men like me are dangerous, right? If I come out talking, Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics type stuff, they don't want black people to hear that. They would say that's not appropriate. Get this man off stage. This isn't family friendly. But you get another man on stage who's literally calling this black man a pedophile on the stage, like A minor, like and everybody and they just let that pass. They let that through. I don't think that was by accident. I think that there is a bigger plan here. And so maybe he pissed off the wrong person, whatever. That's what it is. I can just say at the end of the day, though, I hope that you'll understand the game. And I personally think that when you go back to the NFL, and I'll make my final point on this. When you look at that Super Bowl, a lot of people are celebrating on Twitter like that was the blackest Super Bowl ever. I didn't really see a black Super Bowl. I saw a plantation. There's you could go back and find any plantation in 1652, maybe on a holiday or something. You're gonna see slaves out there dancing and singing. You might see slaves out there competing in a sport, like cracking each other's heads open for the entertainment of white folks. And you're gonna see white folks sitting in the back, sipping on mint juleps, enjoying the slaves' activities. They're gonna be like, "Oh, dance for me, boy," or that girl, she's a big, strong one, ain't she?" Right? That's literally there's literally nothing about that Super Bowl that differs from a plantation. That's what, and then any money that gets made, most of the money ends up going into the hands of the white folks. I reiterate some of the financial realities of the Super Bowl. And remember this, black people are among the biggest investors in professional sports. We're the ones who get our heads cracked open. We're the ones who get brain damage. We're the ones who get paralysis. We're the ones who give birth to boys that sacrifice their entire lives that they could have spent learning how to have a family. They could have spent those years learning how to be lawyers, doctors, or anything, but they spend all their time learning how to be football players. 99.9% of them don't make it. So we are the biggest investors in the NFL, yet we are the lowest beneficiaries. So here is just to run through the numbers really quickly so you'll understand this. Fox sold about 102 30-second slots for $8 million a piece for the advertising. They made about $1 billion on advertising. They sold a bunch of slots for about $4 million for the pregame show. That made them about $500 million. The Superdome has 73,000 seats that sold for over 11,000 a piece. They made almost $1 billion from that. There's also a lot of economic activity from the corporations that market during the Super Bowl, none of whom have anybody in their families that's actually playing in the game, but they're marketing Doritos and Coca-Cola and everything else. That leads to about 17 billion in economic activity. Also, if you want to go back in time and look at what it takes to start a professional sports league, remember this. The Chicago Bears are worth about $6 billion today. They were purchased by the Hallis family for $100. So all the black people that think we can't start our own league, all you have to do is have the same patience and vision that the Hallis family had when they bought the Chicago Bears for $100 and actually give a damn about your children and grandchildren because they started that professional sports league with a bunch of mediocre white folks. You know that we could do it with all these millionaire, billionaire Negroes we got. I don't understand why they haven't gotten on the phones with each other and figured out how to start their own league with their own distribution, their own everything. But then whatever, that's what they're doing. I'm not judging. Also, the New York Giants were purchased for $500. They're now worth $6 billion. So big things start off as small things. That's the point. If you really want to be the boss, you have to pay the cost to be the boss. Paying the cost in investing typically means you're paying the cost with time. It's hard to build true economic strength without the value of time. If you think that you've developed economic power and you have not invested time, chances are you've been deceived. When you think you have power, but you haven't invested the time, typically what's happened is you haven't received real power. You've just been given the perception that you have power. So when I become a rapper and I overnight get a multi-million dollar contract and I'm on the biggest stage in the world, I'm perceived as having power, but really I don't have power because I do not control the power source. Do you understand? That I am on the stage and I'm the loudest person on the stage, but I do not own the stage. I did not finance the stage. I did not build the stage. So what can happen is that when they get done with me, they can take the stage away because they actually put in the time to developing the infrastructure to allow the show to happen. So instead of trying to be part of the show, instead of all us always trying to get into the show, I'd like to meet the black people who want to go put on a show. Tyler Perry, as much as I can tell you that his movies just drive me crazy sometimes, that man built a stage. He built a show. Tyler Perry used to sleep in his car so that he paid the price to develop a platform. He developed brands. Even that Medea crap. He developed all that on his own. And now this man has real power. He has real economic power. And so ultimately, when you talk about a lot of this, you got to make sure you just know the difference between symbolism and actual power. I didn't see a lot of actual power. Maybe Kendrick for sure, and maybe Jay-Z because they let Jay-Z do whatever. But if they decided to shut Jay-Z and Kendrick off completely, they wouldn't be involved with the Super Bowl at all. Or if somebody else becomes commissioner and they're a Donald Trump supporter, then next thing you know, you'll see country music stars or Taylor Swift performing in the halftime show or something. I'm sure there's enough people complaining about that. So anyway, that's it. That's my 2 cents, guys. I think that the one big solution is I think we got to educate our kids different. If I ever come into $1 billion, very first thing I'm gonna do is develop an educational system, because a lot of the reason that we miss these things is because we're so sorely miseducated, to the point where we don't even know exactly which way is up, which way is down. And if you're talking about building wealth and legacy and all that stuff, you have to even know what wealth and legacy look like. And it doesn't usually show up in symbolism. It shows up in substance and real economic value. So anyway, that's it, guys. I'm about to get out of here. You can join us for class tomorrow. Feel free to text the word morning, MORNING, to 87948. It's free. It's money in the morning. You can text morning to the phone number 87948 on your phone. Also, if you want to join us for the crypto club tomorrow, we meet tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. We do crypto in it. So if you're a crypto investor and you want to learn from the best, go to b1crypto.com. That's B, the number one crypto.com. And also, we do actually educate kids in the Black Business School. So if you have a child and you want them to learn economics from someone like me, remember, I'm a black man, I'm pretty radical, but I do know my stuff. Feel free to go to kittyboss.com. I did a training, doesn't cost that much. It's called How to Turn Your Child into a Millionaire. What most people don't know, and they don't believe me when I tell them this, is that it is super easy for me to explain basic things you could do right now that will almost guarantee your child will be a millionaire. It definitely guarantees they'll be financially secure. So I did a whole training on it. A lot of you liked it. I encourage you to feel free to take a look. You can go to kittyboss.com, KIDDIE, kittyboss.com, and feel free to take a look at that. I guarantee it'll change your perspective. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. And if I offended anybody, I didn't mean to offend you, but I can't apologize because I don't apologize for nothing. I just do